To introduce this last panel, I'm just going to introduce it myself because I'm moderating. I'm Nicole Lapin. You've known me from all day. I'm also an author of the books Rich Bitch, Boss Bitch, and just now becoming Superwoman, which just came out last month. I was a CNN anchor and CNBC anchor, and we have an amazing panel here for you of female founders that I have girl crushes on all of them, and I'm sure you do too. Lavinia Errico, one of my dear friends, the founder of Equinox, Candace Nelson, the founder of Sprinkles, and Jane Wurwand, the founder of Dermalogica. Thank you so much, ladies, for coming. Of course, FounderMade is all about founders' stories, and we've been hearing awesome stories throughout the entire day. We know your bios, we know the companies, of course, their household names, but what do we not know? What's beyond the bio? Lavin? Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So what's beyond the bio is that I started working in my dad's deli when I was 8 years old. And I really believe that it was the grit, that it just really taught me so much grit about myself. And that's really the way I sort of meandered into my entire career. Like, I believe that grit is what really got me to create Equinox.
Well, I think everyone should have a job in the food service world at some point because it teaches you so much. It teaches you so much about working with people and having humility. And I actually came to my world of food from a very different place. I actually was working in banking and technology and was working at a dot-com during the height of the dot-com boom of the late 90s. And the bottom dropped out of that universe. And I was sort of scratching my head looking around, what am I going to do now? And instead of going on to business school, which is what a lot of my friends did, I ended up going to pastry school because I wanted to explore the creative side of myself, and I wanted to be ignited by what I did. And I ended up loving pastry school, started making cakes out of my little kitchen in San Francisco, and decided that cakes were a bit fussy, so I turned to cupcakes, because cupcakes were something that were, something you just find in the supermarket at the time. And I wanted to recreate them, elevate them, make them with the best ingredients, and really make them special. And so that was the idea behind Sprinkles.
And you did that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Well, what's beyond the bio? I immigrated here in 1983, and there was a 10.4% unemployment in California. So, which I probably should have checked before I came, right? But one thing I knew, because I was in the salon industry, I could always work because there's always salons. But what I hadn't realized when I emigrated was there were no skincare salons, very few. The industry had only just started. Only 7 out of the 50 states even had a license. And so I think if you spot the greatest pain in an industry, you just spotted the greatest opportunity. And I realized there was a lack of education and a lack of teaching salons how to be more successful. So for 4 years before the launch of Dermalogica, we were teaching and upskilling skin therapists. And then when we launched the product, we launched to our tribe of loyal skin therapists. The backstory is that we built entrepreneurs. And I am an entrepreneur. We self-funded on $14,000. We never gave away any equity, never took outside funding, because no one would have given us any money anyway. And we taught those skills to all the people that carried Dermalogica in their salons, and gone on now to focus on entrepreneurs here in Los Angeles through Found LA, which is our nonprofit initiative. So I'm all about entrepreneurship. I never went to college. I went to beauty school. And it was the key to my success.
Yes, awesome. So you bootstrapped. Did you guys take money for your companies? No, you bootstrapped. Yeah, and what?
You're all bootstrapped.
Yeah,
We're all bootstrapped.
Well, and also because, less than 2% of all funding goes to women, right? It's still a terrible number, and it's heading in the wrong direction. So I often say to people on panels that I'm on with entrepreneurs, how many of us self-funded? And with the exception of one person on one panel one time, all the women say self-funded, which is kind of crazy, because look at all the great brands that would not have happened if we hadn't been able to somehow scrape together and self-fund and all those investment opportunities that were missed.
But would you have done it differently? Would you have taken money?
We were so passionate about our brand. And truthfully, when we started, fitness was not something that anybody wanted to invest in. I mean, it was just something that was, investment were not looking at us and saying, oh, this is a real industry. And I believe Equinox really is the one that made it an industry. So that wasn't even an option. And we really enjoyed it. I mean, like I said, it was myself and my two brothers. And when we started Equinox, we weren't even thinking about building a big industry. For us, it was all about one thing. We wanted a gym. We were living on the Upper West Side of New York City. All of us were in different areas. My brothers were builders. I was an executive with Lancôme. So for me, we just wanted a place to work out. And for us, we were going to keep our day jobs, and we were just going to open up a little gym, and we were going to have people come and run it. But almost instantaneously, it became like a cult. I mean, people came from all over New York City to come and work out at Equinox. I mean, it was just really surprising. So for us, it was just, we were three people that were so passionate about working out. And I think that's what people felt. People felt our commitment. They felt our passion. They felt our excitement. You know, we also wanted a place. This was, you know, in the early 90s, everybody was going to happy hour. So we had to build a place where it had the right look. It had the right feel. You know, gyms in those times were kind of dingy, or they had like neon lights all over and carpets on the floor. You know, for us, it was like we wanted to build something that we wanted to go to, that we wanted to hang out at. We wanted classes that were exciting and fun and sexy, you know, so it wasn't an option, and I wouldn't ever change it because we had so much fun. We learned so much. And it was really exciting. I mean, it really was the culture of our brand. Like, we really built a very strong culture. And I really believe if we would have done it any other way, it would have been hard to really build that culture the way we did.
I can relate to that so much, because really building Sprinkles was just about selfishly building a place that I myself wanted to go. And actually, my husband, who helped me build, is my partner in Sprinkles. He and I always joke, like, so sad we can never really experience Sprinkles as a customer, because it looks so fun to just be able to come in and be filled with wonder. But I too bootstrapped, and we just sort of pooled our savings. And I have to say, if you can do it that way, do it that way. You get to call all the shots. I mean, we invested so much money in our little bakery that nobody else would have ever, you know, believed in. We bought all new equipment. They never say to do that, because we knew we needed the warranty. We really invested in technology, building an online ordering system. Like, we did things the way we wanted to do it. We spent too much, but what we were doing was investing in ourselves, because we saw ourselves as bigger than that one bakery. We saw ourselves as a national brand. And I don't know that everyone else would have bought into that. So if you can do it, do it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I also started the company with my then boyfriend, now husband. So there's a whole other panel about how do you work with your husband for so long. And it was fantastic. It was a passion project. We loved what we were doing. We were all in. We were working, you know, 18 hours a day. Big night out was, you know, cauliflower cheese at home in our one-bedroom apartment in Marina Del Rey. And no one would have invested in us. There wasn't an industry. So how are they even going to invest? But I think it's that is actually the seed growth of the culture that you ultimately end up building in your business. Entrepreneurs, we cut our businesses like a bespoke suit. You know, if you've got one leg a bit longer than the other, you make that leg a bit longer. If you need the collar up higher, then you do it higher. We make it for our own strengths and weaknesses, so it kind of doesn't fit anyone else. And it's the greatest adventure in your life when you are not just building your business and you're hiring dream believers to help you do it, because especially in the beginning when you can't offer any money and you have no medical plan. But that energy is absolutely magnetic. and it's magical. And I think all of us were playing the long game. It wasn't about building it and flipping it. It was about building it and growing it and being in something that we love to do. And I think that's the essence, the hallmark of a successful entrepreneurial brand.
It sounds like it's trickled up, like that culture of bootstrapping made it ultimately successful. So it sounds like more like a blessing than a curse in some ways. I think a lot of founders look at Shark Tank, and listen, I have a business reality competition show as well, but they say, I just want to start a business, I'll get money from Mark Cuban. And that can be really dangerous because you go into business thinking you want to be a boss. And when you take money, hello, Captain Obvious, you now have a boss, right? So if somebody's looking at Equinox and saying, yes, you did build a cult brand, which all of you did, it was sexy, all the sexy classes happened, I could do that too. Obviously it wasn't rainbows and butterflies, so what were some of the bigger struggles that you faced?
I mean, honestly, there were months where we couldn't even cash our checks. You know, I mean, you would literally, you know, you had to deal. You know, for us, I think it was just, we just never stopped. You know, I mean, some of the challenges we had, yeah. I mean, there were months where we weren't hitting our sales goals. You know, so for us, it wasn't about giving it away. We knew that we were a luxury brand. We knew that we couldn't, you know, all of a sudden, you know, discount. So for us, we just had to keep our eye on the ball, make our customer service that much better, make sure that all of our products were on point, our classes were on point. For us, it was just, we always focused on referrals. That was what got our cash register ringing.
You didn't advertise, right?
We didn't advertise. We did a little bit of PR, and we didn't advertise. I mean, quite honestly, we couldn't afford to advertise. I mean, that didn't come until about 5 years out where we could actually start affording to advertise. So prior to that, it was really just, it was PR and word of mouth. Like we looked at every member and we said, we have the potential to get 10 new clients from you. And that was what all of our programming was.
Exactly, we did the same thing. I mean, that was, word of mouth was really word of mouth, and the referral was everything. And you were hiring teachers. It was so similar, the stories. I mean, yeah.
I honestly feel you can't market your way out of a bad product, right? So in the end of the day, you guys had great products. I wish
you need the steak and the sizzle.
That's right.
But I have to say that for us, with Sprinkles, you know, the challenge was also our greatest strength, which was we were doing something new, we were doing something novel. It was the first ever cupcakes-only bakery, and we were innovating in an industry that had sort of long been forgotten, which I think is, you know, the same with all of us here on this panel. And so there was a lot of education involved, and I like to say, you know, the moment before something's a great idea, it's a crazy idea, right? It's that breakthrough that makes it really special. We had so much education to do with our customers early on, like, where are the rest of your products? You guys are only selling cupcakes? Like, where are the cookies? And, you know, why are your cupcakes so much more expensive than what we're getting at Ralph's? So, you know, we had a lot of, we had to teach people what we were doing. We were creating an artisanal product. It was something different. It was something new. But by the same token, because we were doing something new, we were surprising people, we were delighting people, and in doing that, they got talking, and they started doing our marketing for us because we gave them something to talk about. We weren't giving them the usual, we were giving them something fresh. And whether they loved it or they hated it, and they preferred their cupcakes from Ralph's, it didn't really matter. They were talking about us.
Well, hello, there's no ATM for cupcakes at Ralph's.
Yeah, and PR is critical. I mean, especially as you're building a business, that was a brilliant move, the cupcake ATM.
Well, thank you.
How did you guys come up with that?
That came about from a very hormonal pregnancy craving. I basically ate my way through both my pregnancies, dark chocolate cupcakes exclusively. And I came home late one night and Sprinkles was closed, so I couldn't get my usual fix, and I just started ranting and raving about how I needed a dark chocolate cupcake. And I like to say I embraced the crazy ideas, which is basically just another word for innovation. And I thought, why can't I get a cupcake at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning? Like, what if you could do something like that? So, I don't know, we're also programmed to sort of discard ideas that don't seem reasonable, but really I like to let them simmer and marinate, and the idea for the cupcake ATM came about from that.
I think it's very usual as entrepreneurs to I love the idea of you have a crazy idea and then it's a good idea when it suddenly starts to work. But you come from a place of what you really want yourself. It sounds simplistic, but my best products have been when I've thought about something that I really needed and then I wanted and then would develop it. And the idea of education also runs through all our businesses. You know, it's all very well thinking you're going to sell your product, but it's not about that. It's about what's the difference in your product? What's your why? Why have you done it? And then how are you going to teach people what that why is and why it's different? For us, we had to teach people literally how to run their businesses differently and how to build a small business and build a high street business and make it successful. And I think that as an entrepreneur, you sort of look back on things and you think, oh, that wasn't a challenge. That actually worked out really well. But at the time, there was no there then. We didn't know this then. But you had to just no roadmap. You just had to trust it. We always believed it would be successful because we really believed in what we were doing. And I think that's probably the same for each of us.
I think that's really important. You really do have to believe in it. I know at Equinox at one point we started as just fitness. And we would have all thought that if you were fit, you were healthy. And then one morning I woke up and ended flat on the ground. I was 29 years old. I was in peak shape. My resting heart rate was 55. My cholesterol was 140. I mean, I really was. And all of a sudden, that opened up the whole exploration of, okay, what does it mean to be fit? And we realized that in order to be fit, you have to be spiritually fit, mentally fit, emotionally fit, and physically fit. And that's when I started going out and really exploring. And then we opened up a wellness center. And I got hate mail telling me, I can't believe you're involved in this quackery, Lavinia. And it was interesting because my brothers were kind of freaked out by that hate mail. And I would literally say to the managers, just give me those suggestions. And I would hide them in my desk because I knew my two brothers were going to be a little freaked out that we were actually having hate mail. But the truth is, I believed in this. I believed in this wellness center. And you know, it was interesting because I remember sitting with our marketing team and we're writing on the whiteboard what this center was. And all of a sudden someone says, well, it's the opposite of illness. Like if you come here, you won't get ill. And what is a word for the opposite of illness? And it was like somebody said wellness, and we were like, is that even a word?
It is now.
I mean, that was in 1997, and we're looking up to see. It's not only a word. Today, it's a complete industry, and that's what real innovation is. When you're an entrepreneur and you see that moment, and you say, I'm going to do this because if I want this, I know this market. If I want it, other people will want it. And then you just have to like do your research, do what you have to do, assess what needs to be done, and then you just have to really have a pair. You just have to know you believe in it and you just go for it. You have to have no fear. Even when you have fear, you just have to go for it because
just keep saying it's not fear, it's excitement.
Yeah.
Because it's just adrenaline. It's the same chemical, right? So
It is. You feel the same way, right?
Yeah, just reframe it.
But it's true. I think you have to really know instinctively if it's what your soul is asking for, right? You have to feel it in your bones. And in spite of what you're hearing around you, there may be naysayers. In our case, there definitely were. I mean, when we opened Sprinkles, well, first of all, LA is not really known for people eating a lot of carbs. Secondly, it was the height of the South Beach diet. So everybody I knew was on a low-carb diet. So it really didn't seem like the best idea. It was not a natural idea. But to your point about if I want it, I know there must be other people out there that want it too. And I had to do it.
Similar to Lavinia, when we launched Dermalogica, no one could even say the name. You know, it was like Dermatologica, what? Who? Why? We launched not believing in beauty. I don't like the word beauty. We call it the B word because we were about skin health. And so we talked about skin health and skin wellness and being skin therapists, not estheticians or beauty therapists, which is what you're called in the UK. And that point of difference was our kind of mantra. And we knew that people who believed in it as well would find us. And our most loyal users say to me they bleed gray because that's the color of our packaging, you know. So we always say it's the only shade of gray you'll ever need. But this idea of really believing in it when everyone else is telling you it's crazy is important, because Raymond used to say to us in marketing meetings, we have to be prepared to piss off 80% to turn on 20%. Don't be afraid to be polarizing. Don't try and make everyone like what you're doing. They're not going to. If everyone's liking what you're doing, it's probably not very interesting. So I sometimes say it's a little bit like oatmeal at breakfast. It's not offensive in any way. It's healthy and good for you, but it's not the most exciting thing on the menu, right? So order the huevos rancheros and have a little bit more of a kick in the morning. Be different.
Yes, please. If you try to be all things to all people, you're really nothing to anyone, right? So you find your niche, what you guys all did way before there were other sexy fitness places or cupcake shops or other niche skincare lines. So you were all visionaries. You talked about the why and the purpose behind it. But what do you see now? Because back in the day, there wasn't like this female entrepreneur cultural zeitgeisty thing going on. Obviously, you thought there were going to be competitors for the business, but did you ever imagine that we would be in such a time of the female entrepreneur?
Oh, I definitely thought this was happening. I mean, 15 years ago, you could feel the energy. You could feel the frequency. Things were starting to really change. You know, first of all, women were choosing because we can choose, and that's really amazing. I saw for myself, you know, my son was about 3 years old, and I was trying to do both. I was trying to be super mom and super founder. And at one point, I just remember about 2 o'clock in the morning when he had an earache, and I thought, okay, I just can't do both of these anymore, and I'm going to have to choose. And every cell in my body knew that I loved my son most. I knew that he was the most important person in my life, but I also knew deep down in my heart that I was meant to take this company. I was meant to do this. I was meant to change the fitness industry. So at that point, I literally handed my baby basically to the nanny, and I said, I'm giving you my son for the next few years. I'm going to be close, but I have to do this because when you're divided, you're nowhere. You know, you can't be supermom and make every single birthday party and every single school event and everything and be the founder and make really trailblaze an industry. So I knew if I was making that and I'm making that choice to do that, I knew other women would. I knew that the topography was ready for that. I knew that women were ready to step into that role to take that on. So for me, I'm excited, and also we can wear a lot of different hats. I mean, I feel like we're really great. We're really great at pivoting. We're really great at adapting. You know, I think we're really great at moving forward. So I think it's really exciting and so timely.
I definitely agree. I think the time of the female entrepreneur has arrived, and it's a very exciting time. I personally am so lucky and fortunate to have a tribe of incredible friends who are all female entrepreneurs, and we take very seriously our role of lifting each other up and showing up for each other. And I've actually had friends from, you know, other parts of the country, New York, say, wow, you guys have something really special, even in LA, specific to LA, where you are really supporting one another. And I feel it, and it is so meaningful. And I have to say, you know, I think probably a lot of you in this audience are younger than me. Like, it hasn't always been that way. And when I was working in banking, you know, there were only a couple of us women, and it felt very competitive. And I feel like I'm just so happy and inspired that we, I think, have all realized collectively this idea of collaboration over competition lifts us all up.
Well, I feel really, really fortunate because I've grown up in an industry which is dominated by women entrepreneurs. We own 64% of all the salons. So I've never had any doubt in my mind that each of us, all of us, are equally capable of being an entrepreneur and having a successful business. Dermalogica was never about gender, so it's never been gender specific for me. I think that we all have an equal shot at it. The thing that isn't equal is the opportunity to get funded. Women are not getting funded at the rate of men. We're starting businesses at twice the rate, and we're not getting funded. If you're a woman of color, your chances of getting funded are less than 1%, which is absolutely outrageous. If you look at what's happening with women-owned businesses, even though we're owning so many businesses, 90% of all those businesses will only employ that one woman who started it. We have to change that. We've got to get people off the ground floor to the mezzanine. We've got less than 3% of women-owned businesses get over $1 million, and less than 1% get over $10 million. We have to get everyone up off the ground floor to the mezzanine to the top floor. And that's, I think, where we have to focus. It's not just enough to say we have a business. We've got to have a career, and we've got to be a job creator for others. I know how to build entrepreneurs. That's what we based our company on. And I'm committed to building back entrepreneurs in the city of Los Angeles through Found LA. If we don't build back our high streets, not only will we not have businesses and neighborhoods that we want to live in, we won't have the ecosystem, which is our communities and neighborhoods. We will lose our connection to each other. And quite honestly, I've spent my life in the business of touch and human connection. And if we lose that human connection, we lose our humanity. So I think that, yes, the time is absolutely now for all entrepreneurs and for us to specifically focus on women, minorities, and immigrants, because they are the least likely to get help, support, funding, and education.
Amen. And I think we can all agree that we're very excited about the age of the female entrepreneur. What else are you guys excited about? You all saw trends before they were trends. So what are you seeing right now?
Well, I'm really excited about the next generation coming up. Our Gen Z, our next generation, our Generation G, Generation Give Back. They are not only demanding that our companies have transparency, they're demanding they have a purpose. They are pissed off as hell that they're going to have to resolve climate change and fix a lot of the brokenness that's already in the world. But I have absolutely no doubt they're going to do it. I have tremendous faith in this next generation coming up, and I think that we are truly going to be in good hands. I watch what they're doing, what they're saying, how they're thinking, what they're focused on, because that's the generation that's ultimately going to drive us.
I think also this generation is really about, like, if it's look good, do good, be good, you know, and it really makes a difference in the world. So I think that this generation is clearly connecting to the soul being, because they watch the rest of us just become these doing machines. And it's really about, like, self-love and understanding it's about self-respect. And what I'm seeing is even in the workplace, I mean, when we grew up in the workplace, it was pretty evil. I mean, the way people would talk to each other. I mean, I remember being with Cosmere, and there wasn't even really human resources. And the stuff that went on, when I think about it,
it was personnel, and there was like one person.
Exactly. And when you look back now, I mean, we've come a long way, but where we're going now really is about treating people kindly. You know, being really grounded, being really authentic, being able to look somebody in the eye and really help them, support them. You know, it isn't just about, you know, then we sort of took and went the other way, and it was like, we're only going to build you up. Well, listen, at times we have to deliver something that's a little bit harsh to make you grow. Everything can't be about elevating you, because elevating you is helping you to be able to see the reality of where something is, to be able to help someone really grow, to see a blind spot that maybe they didn't know that they had. You know, not let somebody sink. I think years ago it was like sink or swim, you know, but now it's like we're really taking the time. You know, this generation is actually demanding it. They're demanding that we take the time to connect, And I think that's going to make a big difference in the workplace.
And even if you have to deliver, you know, a bad message to somebody, let's say, you can always do it with kindness. You can always do it with being genuine. You can always do it with caring. It's really dated to deliver it any other way. I think it's a pretty dated, you know, approach if you're not coming at it with your full heart.
My motto in life is long, the world is small, don't be an asshole. And on that note, I would love to open it up for some questions. Yeah.
Hi, good panel. Sorry. Hi, my name is Iniqua. I'm from New York. I actually have a fashion-based online business, and for some reason I thought that there would be fashion manufacturers here, but they're not. But I'm glad that I came and I got to hear all the panels. My question is for Jane. You said that you have an entrepreneur program here in LA. Do you by chance have one in New York?
I would love to. Found LA is, and you can all check it out at foundla.org. It's a non-profit. We funded Found LA after our acquisition, and we wanted to build back our high streets. We focus on women, minorities, and immigrants. We provide funding through the Opportunity Fund, and you can see how to do that and apply for funding on the site. We also provide support with Cal State University Northridge. They're our education partner. We coach, we teach, we support. We have the backing and partnership of the Mayor's Office here in Los Angeles. As a family foundation, the Wurwand Foundation, we want to replicate it not by coming to New York, but we want a similar family foundation to do the same thing in New York, Found NYC. And we have a blueprint that we share freely, openly, for anyone who wants to make a difference in that city, and we would love to do it. No, don't. You can go to Dermalogica because you'll find fabulous skincare products there. And my story. But to apply for funding as an entrepreneur, go to FoundLA, FOUND/LA, foundla.org, O-R-G. Pleasure.
Anyone else?
I just want to say thank you. That was so amazing. All of you were just so thoughtful and sharing, and I haven't been this inspired in a long time, so thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for the gratitude. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Paul. I'm building a modern lifestyle brand all around sleep health. It's launching in 2020. Check us out at The Slept Life on Instagram. We're launching soon. But my question is, for a founder, you guys know how much that requires high hustle. Nicole, I know you mentioned burnout in your book. I know Equinox has sleep health coaching now as part of their regimen. And so sleep is so very important, but at the same time, I have 2 kids under 2. I'm, working a startup. And how do you guys balance taking care of yourself, like truly, and building a successful business? I know it's tough, and not every day is perfect, but I would just love some candid thoughts, other than it's kind of impossible because it takes a 12-hour day every day to build a successful business. Or is that the truth? If it is, tell me.
Tequila. I know. I'm actually teasing. I wish. I mean, it's like in my previous life. I don't actually, well, one thing for me, I don't think it's about balance. I think it's about resilience. You can't control what life's going to do. My mother was widowed at age 38 with 4 children to raise. You can't control what's going to happen, but what you can control is your response to it. And in order to have the strongest response, you have to be resilient. Can you get up? Can you brush yourself off? Can you do it again? And to what we've already spoken about, it's your health, it's your spiritual health, your emotional health, but really like an athlete, making that a priority. Because if you're not as strong as you can be, you're not going to have the resilience, never mind just your immune system, you're just not going to have the wherewithal, especially when you're not sleeping. I mean, we've all been through that, sleepless for weeks, months, and you feel like you're pushing a molasses up a hill. But you'll keep doing it. And you keep doing it because ultimately there's nothing else you want to do. this is what you want to do. We must be crazy as hell, but this is actually what we want to do. And ultimately, whatever is planned for you will be there for you, and keep going for it. Those children will grow up, you will get there, it will be there, and you will be, it's like climbing a mountain. You'll go, yes, and next. What's next? Yes, you'll get it.
I think also, just to add to what Jane was saying, was that when you have your frequency and your vibration high, you know, you really attract what's meant for you. I mean, trust me, we did not come out to build that with Equinox. With us, it was just, we love this. And what happened was, I really feel like we were just vibrating at such a high vibration that things just kept coming to us. People kept coming to us saying, I want to invest in Equinox. I want to invest. I mean, it just became something that we were even like, oh my God, all these members. It was members that were coming saying, you're opening another club. I want to be there. So really, you know, and also when you're in your right lane, you can work. I could work 40 hours straight, and I'm actually sourced because I'm so in my right lane of what I'm doing that I don't get tired, because you're just constantly being sourced by something that is just aligned with who you are. It's like as if you're channeling this information because it's just, it's your destiny. And I think that's sometimes what people have to be able to look at and be able to have the courage to see the truth. Because sometimes we're just not in our lane. And it's telling you, that's why I love Sarah Blakely's story, because from Spanx, like, she wanted to be an attorney. She failed the bar twice. I mean, at some point she realized, this is not my lane. And she was able to pivot. She was able to start selling fax machines, which I don't think is very glamorous, and she really didn't love it. But what she said was, and then she started doing it so well. And what she realized was, I'm really good at this. I'm really good at selling. And then she had the intelligence to say, I need to self-assess this. And she was constantly assessing herself and knew she had to hone in on those sales skills. And that one day, I will create something, or I'll work for somebody and I'll be selling something I love. Right now, I'm selling fax machines and I'm not loving it, but I'm showing up. And that's the thing, is like, you have to show up in the best version of yourself every single day. And you have to figure out how to get there. Is it working out? Is it meditation? Is it chanting? Is it primal therapy and you just go and you scream and you know, take a bat and, you know, and hit a pillow? But you have to somehow
find it.
You got to get it out so that you can be in that high vibration, that you can attract what's really meant for you.
I have to echo that just really briefly. I need so much sleep. And when we were growing sprinkles, like aggressively growing sprinkles, I had little babies. And it was so hard for me. But it was that feeling of being in my flow that made me feel like Superwoman. And I look back on that time and I'm like, how did I do that? I mean, there were literally times where I rolled up an apron and I slept on the bakery floor. I mean, it was not fun. But I did it because I was like I was in my flow. And you're doing what you were meant to do. And I don't want, you seem very evolved, so I'm not going to tell you about meditation and all that. You know all that stuff. But yeah, no, that's great. You're doing what you were meant to do, so it'll be good. And I also believe in balance over a period of time as opposed to on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's true, for sure. I think as everyone has said, you just plug into that source of energy. It's like plugging yourself into a charger. You just know when you're in your flow, you know when you're in your lane, you know when you're doing what you're meant to be doing, and you also know when it's not right. And when it's just hard and you're being blocked and it's just, you're not feeling it, you're not loving it, then just check in and say, what am I missing here? And it's perfectly okay to ask for help, ask for guidance from whatever you believe in. Yeah, just say, you know, I'm looking, I've got my antenna up, show me. It could be a word that comes to you. It could be a person you meet. It could be something that happens, and suddenly you go, wait a minute, this is significant. It makes me feel different. Pay attention to your body. It's telling you everything you need. It's all there for us. Yeah.
Well, because I think also the impetus as an entrepreneur is, especially if you don't have actual equity, you want to put more sweat equity in. It's of course a great reminder to put your oxygen mask on first before helping others. You can't be of service to anyone else, much less a business, if you're crashing and burning yourself. And I think all of you touched on something that I'd love to end with, more storytelling, because I think we all think we'll be happy or we'll be balanced, whatever that means to you, when we get there. And then we constantly change the goalpost on ourselves. And I think for a lot of founders, it's always, I'll be happy or I'll be balanced when I sell my company in particular. I think balance and chaos have to happen together. When you sold your company, Lavinia, do you mind telling the story of if you were ultimately with the Shangri-La, were you the happiest you've ever been?
First of all, I loved the journey. And that's what I would welcome everybody to check in to see if you really are loving the journey. I loved the journey of working and collaborating and expanding, and it really filled me up. But when I did sell the company, and I really thought, oh my God, the rest of my life is going to be pretty amazing. I mean, I was making more money than I ever imagined. We owned a lot of the real estate that we were actually keeping. And I just thought every single day I was going to feel like I was on a roller coaster ride. You know that first time you go on a roller coaster and you're like, I thought every day when I sold my company and I'd never have to worry about money again, I thought that's what I was going to feel like. I thought this water was going to taste different. And the truth is, we sold the company and I kept saying, my friends were like, oh my God, can you believe it? And I'm just like, I don't think it's hit me yet. I don't think it's hit me yet. And I walked around like that for about 3 months, and you can't like go and complain to people. It's like, oh honey, why don't you just go to Chanel and go on a little shopping spree? Like, nobody's gonna pity you because you're feeling horrible. But the truth of it was that what I realized on that journey is that my whole identity was my work. Every single part of my identity. I didn't do a lot of things along the way to check in. I didn't check in with the soul part of Lavinia. I was too busy working, going, everything with metaphors. I just gotta hit the next goal, hit the next goal. I mean, we created 7 brands, which people don't understand. We had 7 brands inside of Equinox. And it was just like you just kept going and going and going. And then when you sold, you just realized, I didn't know who I was. I had no idea who Lavinia was outside of Equinox. And honestly, because we're a family, Equinox really became a big family. That's the way the culture grew. I mean, I remember one of the magazines or New York Times said we were a cult. And the reason was because everybody felt like they were family there. That's what it felt like, and that was part of the magic, but I lost me. And that would be one thing I would invite people, is to keep checking into you. You know, check into the soul being of you, not the outside identity, which, by the way, unfortunately, has gotten even worse because now we have all this social media. So the world is constantly telling us, especially women, what it looks like to have it all. And it can be pretty daunting when you're out there and what it looks like to really have it all. So, you know, you really have to connect to you and really create what having it all really looks like to you. Because at the end, you can have all this money and you're really not happy. Because one thing I know through this journey, that even when I made it myself, because that was like, you know, I got to the top of that mountain and it was my lungs that got me there. It was my muscle, it was my brain that got me there. But it still was exhausting because I didn't connect to my soul.
We sold a majority stake in Sprinkles about 5 years ago, and I think I was in complete, it was our goal. It was like our dream had been realized, right? But I think I was in complete denial for a very long time. And I felt like a little baby deer, like on those shaky legs, like trying to walk, because to your point, my identity was so, and it still kind of is, I'm still on that journey, but it was so wrapped up in this business that was Sprinkles. And I didn't really know how to exist beyond it. So I've thrown myself into some other projects, such as Pizzana and a podcast and a show. But it really is, that's great advice, and I wish we'd had this chat a few years ago. But no, it's very important to establish that sense of self that is separate from and beyond what you are showcasing to the outside world through your business.
Well, it's true that your identity is very wrapped up in your business because you built it from your heart and from your love, and it's like family. I just was really glad that I never named the product after myself, because that would have been even worse. It would have been like Halston, you just lose your name or something. But yes, I think that the relevance piece, and am I still relevant? Will I still be relevant doing something else? Is natural. For us, it was a little different. We sold in 2015, complete company sold to Unilever, and I'm still involved with Dermalogica and with Unilever on their sustainable living plan and Dermalogica's strategy and success. But I think you sort of take each one of your stages of your journey like a relay race, and you say, okay, so I've run that leg, and now what? And take time, take a year, 2 years, to sort of wait for the, and now what? What am I meant to be doing? Where am I meant to be going? What am I meant to be seeing? And what in this journey that I've just completed is going to inform my next stage? And maybe it's another product, another brand. Maybe it's a self-discovery journey. Maybe it's just that you say, you know what, I've done it. I did it. I don't want to do anything right now. I want to just focus on whatever it might be, completely different.
Good luck with doing nothing.
Yeah, good luck if you're.
I mean, when you're such a doer and you're an entrepreneur, it sounds really nice, and then you get to it and you're like, oh my God, no,
I know.
I've got to start 5 new businesses.
It's so true. No, honestly, because now I'm, started a non-profit, so to replicate the things I learned in the business and working on a book and all the rest of it.
See,
but
I told you.
It's just a big, messy life. You just kind of embrace it. It's great, I mean, just hit the ground running and skid all the way to the end.
Such great advice. Thank you so much, ladies, for so honestly sharing your founder stories. Thank you, everyone. I would like to bring now the founder of FounderMade on.
I think, so part of this business is even, and I was telling Jane this last night, I had listened to her podcast probably 3 years ago when I was a little confused. We had started the business, we didn't really, and I was like, one day I'm going to get to have you speak. This is literally a dream realized. And this panel, I can't even, I'm like, can you all please run for president? Can you please run for office, all of you? I'm sorry. This is like the most incredible, it's just a real gift. It's a gift that you're giving. Know that. Know that, like, the inspiration and the stories behind what you guys have built, and actually being honest and fully realized in your power, and giving it to all of these people who are, and being an entrepreneur, the reason we built this business is because my father was an immigrant from India. He started a company and had nothing, and I watched him, and I watched him build it and get to the highest mountain that he could possibly, and then lose everything. And so for us, this is really, we are a community of helping entrepreneurs build in the good times, the bad times, whatever it takes. This inspiration that you've given to us today is something that I think we'll all take away with this. So thank you. Thank you for this. And this whole business would never have been even fully realized without those dream builders, those people that believe in us. We're a small but mighty team. My team is actually still working. I wanted them to all come on stage and get things, but they said, no, we're working right now. Thank you guys for coming. Really, truly, thank you for coming, and thank you for building this community. This is our second year in LA, and we are so excited to help you build and grow your business, and are open to any feedback. Thanks. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and thanks for building the future.